You're listening to the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, brought to you in part by the Gumball Head Sobriety Society and generous listeners just like you. For the latest updates, check out the link in our bio.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. July 24, 2025. I'm your host, Gumball Head. This is the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast. And with it being that intro, we already know it's a Road Rants edition. Get a few things out of the way real quick here. I want to thank everybody. So far, we're at 10% of our GoFundMe goal for hashtag Rennie Talk. You can go to GoFundMe, type in hashtag Rennie Talk, or you can go to our website, gumballhead.com. Click on the Rainbow Cat link at the top of the page. That'll pull up our story as to why we're doing a GoFundMe. We've reached 10% of our goals so far. Initial goal, $3,500 set for Rennie. Our Rennie Talk is our bilateral clubfoot hero who lives in our house. He's our 5-year-old son, and we're raising funds so that I can get some time off to help Mom out when he has a surgery. He's 6 weeks in a wheelchair or non-weight bearing in general, and it's going to be tough. And I haven't been at my new job for a year yet, so I only get a couple of days off, and I could take more days off, but I can't do it if I don't get paid. So we're gonna try to make some money, save some money, put some money aside so that I can get a little bit more time off, so I can be at home. It'll also go towards a few things like, extra socks and the braces in his shoes, and just kind of offset some of the costs that we're going to be facing. I'm not a single dad, but I'm the single income earner in our household. And a lot of people have passed judgment on us. I've learned this when we started asking for donations and started talking about things. A lot of people have said, hey, you know what? It's not our fault that you've got so many kids. No, it's not your fault. It's not our fault either. But coming from a family that has, faced so many adversities, our children bring us joy. It's not anyone's fault that we are struggling financially. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling financially, but we're going to be okay whether we get donations or not. We always find ways to make ends meet. And for those that don't know, I work a full-time job, and then when I'm not working a full-time job, I offer handyman services. So I'm out there working. It's not like I'm sitting here going, hey, I just want to sit on my ass and play Call of Duty all day long. I definitely work my ass off, and not touting or being egotistical about it. We're just asking for a little bit of help. If you can't contribute monetarily, that's fine. We don't necessarily need that. Share it out. Someone out there might be able to flip us a coin or two and give us a hand. And we're just trying to cover some of our bills so that we don't fall behind. When we started our journey, we fell behind almost immediately as soon as Rennie was born, because of the economy and because of the pandemic 5 years ago. So if you guys want to hear the story, jump over to our website, gumballhead.com. Click on the Rainbow Cat link. You can read the entire story there. Most of the story is also on the GoFundMe page, so check that out too. Moving on from that, there are a lot of people out there right now in this world that they don't know where they're at. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. They're on a wayward path. Wheels constantly spinning, and they don't know how to get their mental health in check. And they're like, well, maybe I should go see a doctor, and the doctor's going to give them pills and tell them to go see a psychologist or a therapist and this and that and the other thing. Sometimes that's exactly what people need. Sometimes we need that guidance from a doctor. Sometimes we need a paint-by-number lifestyle notebook that tells us everything we know. Sometimes we think that it's working, and it's just not quite working, and that's why we created the Gumball Head Mental Health Network. If you're struggling with things with your mental health and you're not quite sure where to start, get in touch with us. We'll help you. Worst case scenario, we put you in touch with somebody that's been through a lot of the same stuff that you're going through or that you've been through, and we can connect you with new friends, new connections, new people, new opportunities for you. And we've been 100% successful on all of our bad days, guys. And we strive to keep those numbers up. We want everybody to be 100% successful on their worst days, because you matter. Because you're important to people. And you may not feel that way, but you're important to me, and you may not know that. But every single person that seeks help, every single person that reaches out, you're important to me, because it shows me that what we're doing right now is the right thing. It shows us that created this network with full intention. And most of it was created right on social media where the need is the highest. We work with quite a few people. Feral Veteran, he's our friend on TikTok. He's part of the Modern Viking Beard Care Company and Modern Viking family. Smallsy Big OG, same thing. She's big on the mental health for veterans. We're working with some people, some equine therapists. Forever Amber Acres in Medina, Ohio. She does equine therapy for public safety and military. We work with a lot of people, a lot of different walks of life. And there's always someone out there that we can connect you with, and that's either individuals or organizations. We've connected very well with the clubfoot organizations out there. We've connected with doctors and lawyers and judges and attorneys, and our network grows every single day. We've also connected with financial advisors. We've connected with mental health gurus. We've connected with hypnotherapists. We've connected with holistic healers. We've connected with a plethora of different types of people. So someone out there for everyone. We can help you get to where you need to be. You just got to reach out. You got to ask for that help. So we've been working very, very hard physically. Last week was a very big week of, putting in the hours and pushing on the grindstone. Just because we got a lot of stuff to do in a very short period of time. The company that I work for, we just had a visitation from the owner of our company, and they walked our community, and it sounds like my work partner and I, my supervisor, my boss, and it sounds like we did a relatively good job, all things considered, for the size of our apartment community and it just being two people. We've accomplished a very, very lofty goal, and we continue to maintain standards that is very difficult to do with such a small team. We work very hard every day to make sure our residents are taken care of. So it's not that difficult to do. It's just a matter of hearing what people are asking for and taking care of those things. Hearing what people need and offering a solution for that need. And I think that our world has come into a few different genres or collectives. Sorry, those people that are popular and famous and they are successful because of their talents. Well, those people are naturally born with those talents, or they find out that they do have a talent and they work hard on that. And when I say that, I'm speaking of that genre of musicians that have big bands, or artists that have paintings that have come out. I mean, look at Picasso and Da Vinci and Rembrandt. We're looking at those people, and it's like, to look at that art compared to modern art, it's just like, oh, okay, that's really neat. Expressionism and this and that. What we don't realize is that art is expression, and expression is art, and the form of expressionism is the way that we talk about things, the way that we do things. If you're a podcast host, it's a form of expression. And I was speaking of this in a previous podcast of, we don't do the same content over and over and over. We don't generalize our genre because of the fact that we are so widespread. We do have a niche, but I think that niche is more focused on mental health than it is anything else. Some podcasters stick with music. Some podcasters stick with, spirituality and religion. Some podcasters stick to sports. We stick to mental health. And with mental health, we're able to hit a lot of those other genres too and pulling those in. So if you're interested in doing a podcast with us, please reach out to us. normalisn'tnecessarypodcast@gmail.com. We'll get you on the schedule. We'll get you interviewed. We'll do our post-production, and we'll give you something really nice. Recently, we interviewed Anti-Wise, the band from Queens, New York. We spoke to Tommy, the front man of the band. And we sat down with him, had a 2-hour conversation, and didn't even realize that it was 2 hours. Podbean actually kicks you off. After 2 hours, they will literally shut you down. The Podbean plan that we have says, hey, you got a 3-minute warning. And once you hit those 2 hours, they cut you right off. They're like, you're done. That's all you get right now. So we really had a hard time wrapping up the podcast in that short period of time so that we could continue on with Tommy. But since then, we've had a lot of downloads, and he's been great, fantastic, and we've stayed in contact with him. I could sit down and talk to him for days, I'm sure of it. Now, Tommy reminds me very much of the lead singer of Judas Priest, I don't know. He's just an all-around neat guy, and we talked a lot about music, and we talked a lot about how music influences our brains and how it influences others. So if you're a part of the New York City hardcore scene, Anti-Wise, good band to check out. They identify as a gothcore punk band or a gothcore band. I wouldn't put them in that category, though. I think that they are just, I think that they're just a hardcore band. We've also spoken to other bands too, like Forge the Sun, The Theorists, Pat Smiley from Detroit, Michigan. Recently spoke to the Reverend Jesse Ray, who's a rockabilly artist. But it all boils down to one thing: what makes us happy, what makes us feel good. And I'm going to tell a quick story, and then I'll wrap our podcast up. Yesterday, I'd gotten home from work, and I got home a little bit early. My boss let me go home, and got home a little early, and it was nice to just walk in and see my kids and say hello to my wife and know that the fruits of my labor really paid off this week, and the fruits of my labor paid off last week, and still got a lot of work to do, still got a lot of growing to do, still got a lot of things to experience and understand, but this is all growth. This is all helping us in the future with our employment. But ultimately, I came home and walked into the home, and my wife obviously has had, a chaotic few days, and I just was like, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to succumb to the chaos and not have any expectations today. And I don't come home stomping my feet begging people to, do this or do that, but I do enlist their help sometimes when I come home. If the house is a mess, I have the kids help me clean up the house. Sometimes I have the kids do all the work. Sometimes I get grouchy and grumpy about it and say, hey, our house is always a mess. You're a stay-at-home mom, blah, blah, blah. But I also understand 100% everything that goes into her daily work, that goes into her daily job as a mom. And she works her butt off. So, but one of the things that I noticed, I sat down on the couch. As soon as I walked in, I sat down. I've been so tired. I've been burning the candle at both ends. I worked every day last week until my scheduled out time around 5 o'clock and got home at midnight every single day last week. It was just a rough week overall. It was tough. And my body just can't seem to catch up. I'm getting older. I'm being realistic. My body just can't seem to catch up with all the work that I've been doing. And I'm tired. And I noticed that my PlayStation controllers were missing. And I walked into the kitchen and I go, hey, babe, any chance you might know where my PlayStation controllers are? She's like, yeah, they're on the counter where they normally are. I was like, no, they're not. Well, she had saw a shift in my demeanor, and she immediately went into, oh, shit, what happened to him mode. And she started looking for him, and she started to almost panic because my controllers were missing. I spent 3-4 minutes looking for them. Then I hollered at my kid, and I was like, hey, you know what? You guys are using my controllers. Take care of them, blah, blah, blah. Where are they at? They didn't know. I didn't get upset with my children because, maybe they didn't know. Maybe we did pick them up and put them somewhere. And about 2 hours into it, I was using the bathroom, and my wife came in, and she goes, hey. And she showed me the controllers that she had found. She had picked them up, put them away, got them out of the hands of the kids. And I understood it, and I respected it. And she's like, I don't want this to ruin your entire night. I was like, it didn't. It wasn't going to. It was just a matter of, shit, where are these controllers? Now, I'm glad that it took some time to find them and locate them. Because, I probably would have sat down and played video games the entire night. But instead, I got to spend some time with the kids and spend some time with my wife and have some conversations and just kind of decompress and relax a little bit. But it kind of made me sad, too, because it was like my wife thinks that I'm just going to come home and start playing video games. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I do need that decompression. Sometimes I do need that shutdown. Sometimes I do need that, opportunity to turn the brain off a little bit. And that's okay, but to know that annoyed my wife really hurt. And it didn't hurt my feelings or anything. What it did was brought to my attention the awareness of the fact that, maybe I am putting too much time into these things that I want to do, and maybe she needs me a little bit more. So the kids and I ended up picking up the house. One of our children were not feeling well. The other one doesn't like wearing diapers anymore all of a sudden. And, I wouldn't either if I was a child. And we've been working on potty training our baby, our 1.5-year-old. And so just a lot of things going on in life. And we can definitely see how the situations of life can take over our minds. It can consume us. It can take us and put us into a 5-gallon bucket and eventually put the lid on it because we've had enough. We need to shut down. Sometimes it's for days. And that's that depression phase that we fall into. Just got to find a way to get out of that depression phase. And one of the greatest ways about that, to do that, to talk about it. That's why we do the podcast, so we don't fall into that deeper depression. Guys, it's been a great morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Check out the website, gumballhead.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to us, normalisn'tnecessarypodcast@gmail.com. If you need beard care products, including beard oils, beard balms, shampoos, and some soaps, check out modernvikingllc.com. Use code gumball10. You get 10% off your entire order. And $35 more is free shipping. Check out the links that we have in our bio for our affiliate sites and for all those people that we've interviewed and whatnot. Also, when you jump onto the gumballhead.com page, you can see our entire Get to Know You series. We set those all aside for people to sit down and be able to just listen to those interviews, so you don't have to listen to all of our road rants before you find something that you really want to hear. Until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love. We'll see you guys soon.